into the websites before.
What do you mean you've never been into the websites?
I've never been into the weed websites.
Oh, gotcha.
I just, it's a lot of talk about stuff, and I'm like, I just get high, It's, it's like, oh, the thing, I mean, I dig weed culture, but I'm not.
Although
I'm not. Yeah,
the home
cliche,
remedy DIY,
tie-dye, I don't know,
yeah.
Whatever it is. I don't think I'm that kind of individual, but at the same time, it's like, oh well, there are it's getting so.
There's good options.
Monetized that like people are really paying attention to it. So like it's not just a bunch of people like doing things and saying they felt something. It's
no,
like
I feel you.
Scientifically this shit is gonna fuck you up. So I'll read those recipes and a bunch of fucking stems. What else am I doing with them?
I feel you. I mean that's
breaking them up when I have no more weed left.
Yeah,
laying
them end to end in my dirty spliffs when I'm all out.
Yeah,
I've done that.
Like sprinkling.
It's just like tobacco
trying
and stems.
to grind it, like just turn it into something, please.
Hopeful.
And it gets weird and strange.
Nah, it's cool though. It's mad. There's a lot of new options, and people are able to like have new ideas and kind of put them out there because it's so legal now. You know what I mean? Before it was like, oh, if you or one of your friends couldn't think of something to do with it, then it was out of your realm of possibility. But now you can go online and be like, oh, this recipe for this. Oh, did you know I could extract this part from this? Oh, did you know that if I did this and then this and this and this and this?
Well, I mean, something I think is a good point about the whole weed industry is that it's always been there. I mean, more the hemp industry, I guess, now is, I forget some statistic I read, but in one of the websites for one of these companies growing, industrial amounts of hemp now, there's only like 25,000 acres being used in the whole country right now. And that's a lot. They're like, well, this is a lot, and we'll expect a good profit margin and yada yada, and now we know how to store it better, and it's like, okay, cool. And obviously, because people are going to make money off of things, that's people are paying more attention to it. But now it's the people with the power, and so they pass the bills. And either way, it's like they were growing a shit ton more hemp 70 years ago.
Yeah.
And the acreage was like 325,000.
Yeah.
And and they didn't have the machines and the resources and all.
It's crazy to think that.
With what we have now, so that's exciting, but it's only because they're gonna figure out. Everybody wants a slice of the pie.
Because they figured out how to make money off of it,
which is fine. I want a slice of this pie too.
Me too.
Like, I'm happy getting high, but I'll take a slice because I don't know. Maybe it's I'm trying to feel like I'm justifying something by saying it's going to help the world, and I will feel less shitty about wanting to capitalize. But
that's fine.
It will help the world.
I
have no interest. I will not invest in something that's going to destroy the world. So it's a double.
But you shouldn't feel
win.
bad. You shouldn't feel bad about making money off of or investing in something that's good. If it was like a gun company and and fossil fuels,
do the reading and the research
I'm
doing because it just wouldn't interest me. Like that's point blank who I've ever been. Is I'm kind of confused as to what sparked my interest so much. Well, no pun intended. Obviously there are a lot of things that spark my interest, but that really has held my interest.
The industry or weed in general.
The industry now.
Yeah, no, it's exciting because we've been smoking trees for a long time, and we've seen it grow, and not necessarily grow because everybody was always smoking weed, but we've seen it open up. You feel me?
Well, I've seen people. I mean, as I adulted, I hang out with people more or older than me more often than I do people my age, and it's funny to see them like. Weed is now like an interest of theirs that it was never before, and and these are some people I wouldn't chill with, but I'm like, oh, you're a weed smoker now,
welcome.
And I've seen their personas change, and I'm like, you're late in the game, but this is the persona I've sort of had.
Mm-hmm. But at least you're now a part of the conversation.
Well,
or is it like bitter, like, nah, get the fuck out of here, you're too late.
No, it's just sort of like guess you could say you're late because you know their enthusiasm is like burgeoning.
And it's funny as the younger people, we see the older heads getting excited about it, and we're just sitting here like, excuse me, we've actually been talking about this for quite some time, and you kept yelling at us to shut up.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
Mom, I'm joking.
Dad.
Yeah, facts.
But that's what got me like committed to assuming this was going to go some distance, like past like the California wave, and you know when you're on one side of the country, just the way of life, and then on the other side it's like, you know, it's around, but if you're in New York, you're kind of stuck in this purgatory between New Jersey and Massachusetts, and obviously we can get weed, but we're not living that engulfed weed culture.
Nah,
but when my dad asked me about CBD stuff, I thought, okay, this is the guy that like didn't want anything to do with anything that I really had any interest in, like recreationally.
There was a big divide.
Well, he doesn't smoke or drink or anything, and he's against it because of, you know, how it could affect, and, you know, it's just that he lives in the negative side of things. But then when he saw a positive side in some aspect of all of this, and not positive to the sense of, you know, I'm going to get high again, but that he's using it for
benefits,
like medical purposes, to
wellness,
for ailments and such, and it was recommended from his father. So,
which just goes to show how, you know, how far back it goes.
Grandfather's 95. Yeah, I mean, he's been around since before it was illegal to then becoming illegal to now legal again. Like,
he's just been waiting.
He was, yeah. Well, he's just one of those people that's like, yeah, well, they just, you know, decided not to go forward with something for however long because the powers that be didn't have interest in it.
No.
Like, you know, the solar-powered car, the electric car. Yeah. We could be all, it's, you know.
Did your family know you smoked weed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
I mean,
I talk about it pretty openly now, like, through all the stages I've gone through. It's just kind of like I'm going to wear everything on my sleeve.
You and I have certainly smoked a lot of weed in your family's house. For the record, I'm speaking to my brother Nicholas Hunt right now. Fantastic photographer, and I actually grew up with him, went to high school with him, and yeah, it's my New York brother that we grew up smoking trees together, you know what I mean? Creeping in people's apartment buildings and walking up to the top of the stairwell to smoke near the roof, you know, at the lunch break in high school, all these good things. Shout out Urban Academy. And
at school. Yeah, now it's time to go visit.
Yeah, and so now we were actually just talking the other day. It's been over a decade since we graduated from high school, right? That sounds about right.
Yeah.
And we had such a good high school that everybody I know who went there kind of like, you know, cites it as one of the reasons they're doing something good, or has some kind of connection to it that led them to something good. It's actually the first place that got me into really performing, both music and also on stage. Shout out Alex for making me get involved. I was typecast as the Nazi in Cabaret. I guess Nick and I were two of the only blonde boys at the school.
Yeah, but you know, for some reason I was decided best to fit a Puerto Rican shark.
That was for the Jets. That was for West Side Story next year. But yeah, funny things.
Instead of Tony, the guy who could sing, old school.
Shade.
Oh yeah.
Alex,
standing ovation after my
Alex,
audition.
I think Nick is a little bit bitter.
I think he was absent.
It happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking about high school.
Speaking
of which, tell me.
No, it was Terry Weber I thought about.
Shout out Terry Weber. Shout out all the good teachers in the world, but specifically for us at Urban Academy.
The world.
No, for real.
No, yeah.
No, for real. Like, teachers are so important, and I feel like the school we went to, it was the school that you fuck up at other schools, or you don't do well at other schools, and then you find your way there. And then once you're there, you kind of grow up, if you will. And I think personally, I would come to school, and I would have these great discussions in these different classes, and I'd be learning great things, and then I would go back to my neighborhood, and I would talk to my boys that were still going to the school that I first went to, and just to kind of hear the difference in the days. You know, like I was in my subway art class, and then I was, you know, doing darkroom photography, and then I was doing history of New York City classes. And I go talk to my boy, and I'm like, yo, what'd you guys learn in school today? And they're like, I don't know, I didn't go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I might have skipped
it happens.
I don't even know if it was skipping.
I mean, like, my boys would go to school to not go to class.
Yeah.
You feel me?
And I did that at the school before.
Exactly, because they don't hold you.
Urban.
They don't engage you.
Yeah.
But that shit kind of changed the way I saw education, the way I saw school from there on.
Well, I also just, I mean, I did 4 years fully there. 6 in total in high school.
Yeah.
It was enough in school in my life. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that's
I forget that you know, you don't get that at every school, I guess.
No, we took it for granted.
Which is, it sounds like my mom pays $30,000 for this every year, but that's not the case.
Yeah, whenever.
And it was, you know, it was like you could grow up there, but it was, I don't know, there was a sense of grown-upness amongst students. You know, I remember when you say a decade ago, I was like, was it a decade ago? Because I still feel like a child, and I'm 30. And I thought I was grown when I was in that school. Like, I had it all figured out. And, like, yeah. That was just that false sense of, I don't know. But we engaged it. I mean, that was the fear that most teachers were having, especially with kids being forced into the school and not the application process being respected, was kids weren't going to take it and appreciate it. And with such a small roll amount, you know, they were like building it to fail, because you give it kids that won't, you know, a 90-something% graduation rate, and then you turn it into a zone school, and kids that didn't want to apply and didn't want to go there in the first place, you know, take a slot, fuck it up.
Yeah.
No, and that's what it's built for. But teachers also know that, like, we have to engage people that want to do this willingly.
Yeah.
That's the premise of all of this.
The point is you want the students to want to be there.
Now it's your job to, you know, build the house that you want to live in for the rest of your life, or at least start it.
They told us how to build.
Absolutely. I didn't go to college, so this is all I got.
See, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. So
Urban Academy.
We're both sitting
alumni,
here. There we go.
Alma mater.
Shout out Urban. And, like, we both graduated, and you didn't go to college. You became a professional photographer. I went the college route, and I went to England, and I went to college, and I ended up getting a master's degree as well.
You have a master's?
I do, yeah. Yeah. So, like, but that's what I'm saying. We both took different things from it.
Master Bobby.
You already know. It's that.
Master.
Yeah. One day I'll get a doctorate, and just people have to call me Dr. Dutch.
Shifu. Shifu Moses.
What is Shifu?
Shifu's like master in like.
Oh, there we go. Okay. I fuck with that.
Shifu Moses. Master Shifu?
I'm gonna let my
do
beard
you ever see
grow
Kung
out.
Fu Panda? Come on, Master
Oh, yes.
Master Shifu.
Yes.
It's like it's a redundant, you know, name, Master Shifu.
Yeah.
But it is an American.
That's good.
So.
That's good. But yeah, no, let's I'm gonna talk about photography.
Mm-hmm.
So how for the people who don't know who you are, what do you do now as a photographer? Because there's lots of different lanes that people are involved in photography.
Yeah, I don't even know the lanes anymore.
Because I'm gonna get into things like Instagram and how things like that changed photography, if it did or if it didn't. But what do you do now as a photographer?
I am an event photographer, an entertainment photographer.
What kind of things do you shoot?
A staff photographer at Getty Images, primarily working in the entertainment division.
So you shoot events and entertainment things for Getty Images.
For Getty Images,
Got you. So,
and we are outsourced by companies and so on and so forth. Everything in the world to shoot. I don't know. I'm running.
No. That's what you guys did a plug for images, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, well, that's saying I work for, saying I work with, saying I work with and for is always sort of a juggle of sorts, because I'm always working for and with somebody, but multiple sort of sources or mouths to feed. I don't know. I'm trying to think of the proper analogy, but like pretty much.
With the record show that we just finished, Big Fat Zoo, hence the mumbles. If you can hear how our voices have changed.
No, okay, so it's like.
But that's all good here.
So it's like Getty Images for MTV. So it's Nicholas Hunt of Getty Images for MTV.
Gotcha.
So I am contracted by Getty Images. And that, yeah.
You're a sub-agent of Getty Images,
I guess
who have been hired by MTV.
Yeah. Who,
Gotcha.
I exclusively work for them. That's the.
So what kind of things?
And they take care of me, and we, and that it's a big, strong community of creatives that come to collectively and work as a very strong unit. That's the most important part about the company is how well everything goes together. I mean, it's not just one person getting one thing done. It's a lot of people getting a lot of things done all the time, all day, every single day. I mean, it's 24 hours, 24/7. It's the world. So it's interesting, and that like perspective of mine, like it still grows, because you can be narrow-minded working in one division, working on one thing for so long, and that's what I've mostly done. Like I've dabbled in other things, but I came from another entertainment company. So like I just assumed I was going to be working for the same sort of agency that I was already working for, but now I realize like not the web, but like the reach that extends from Getty Images.
It's wide.
Yeah. I mean, and now I've traveled to Europe for them, and I'm sure I'll travel other places. I mean, colleagues of mine traveled Asia and other places.
Yeah, because everywhere people are taking pictures.
Yeah, and I mean, there are photographers everywhere, but we work with specific people that will work with us, and that's just a perk, and also, helps you. It's not just about that one entertainment, like that one show, that one experience. It's like now it's the coming together, like everything. I mean, you say you want to get into Instagram, and I don't really want to get into that right off of what I'm saying right now, but what I'm saying is that with Instagram, it's required a desire for full understanding of access.
Gotcha.
And us being at the top of the access level, without damaging, relationships and showing too much, because that's all people want. They want everything, but no, you can't give people everything. You have to give them, well, it's not even what you have to give them, it's just people deserve privacy of all aspects, and coverage deserves the proper coverage, whether it's sports or news and entertainment.
Wait, so when you're talking about privacy, sorry to interrupt you, when you're talking about privacy, you're talking about like artists and celebrities, right?
Well, and I mean, I guess so.
Can you explain a couple of the last things that you've shot?
Well,
just so people understand like the jobs that you're getting sent to.
Well, it varies a lot. Like,
okay.
I'm trying to think.
Because I want people to understand. A lot of photography is blowing up in a way that a lot of people who were not involved in photography before, all of a sudden, I think because of social media, have gotten a camera and now they're a photographer. And I'm not even hating on that. It's just there's a lot of people trying to get involved, and I'm trying to show that there's many ways you can get involved in photography as a profession.
Absolutely.
You feel me? Because I think most people think of
I'm
portraits.
realizing that myself.
Exactly. So I just want people to know that, there's different lanes.
And I think your lane, as far as not even taking a photograph, the lanes. Yeah, I mean there are multiple lanes for the type of photographer you want to be.
Exactly.
Than the actual business of photography.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's so star-crossed now with the influencer world. I mean, because imagery has obviously such an impact in so many different ways, and it's something I haven't even. Well, coincidentally, it's something I have no understanding of really, and I have no certain interest of, because it's like, okay, this is another world of work basically that I have to like tap into that is full time. Like even reposting something took me a couple of hours yesterday. Well, I was in the middle of something, and then I'm getting on the subway, and then I forget, and then I get off, and then it's like, and then like I get to the thing, and I play soccer all day, and then 4 hours later, and then I look at the phone, and I'm like, oh yeah, the repost. And I was like, all right, well, it's 2 p.m. now. It's valid, right? But I still don't know how to do it. So I'm at point 0, and I start from there, and I figure it out, and I get it up, and then that's my effort for the day. And you know, it's a repost from somebody who has a couple million people, and I get it. I just realized I had a message in like the request box from some person who sells iPhone cases, and I don't want to shout out their company yet because I haven't said anything to them in response. But they asked, "Would you like our product for free in exchange for like a posting and a story feed thing?" And I was like, "So I'll be like a." Yeah. I'm an advert now. Yeah, like this absolutely. I'm a billboard for you.
How do you feel about that?
I didn't respond to them because at first I was like, "Oh, I like this. It's a phone case and it's called something something, and it's
shout out something something.
Shout out something something, and it's different than the other ones. It's flat, and it's something I like because I don't want a bulge on top of my phone case. You know, that leather style that most people have, and the ring. It's different, and I was actually enthusiastic about the product itself for myself. Okay, and then I thought, okay, like sure, whatever. And then I thought, wait a second, like I don't post a lot, and usually it's a picture I really like. Am I just gonna now post myself like holding this thing? Not like I'm selling myself out, but that's weird to me. That's a line I haven't crossed yet. And I like wrote the response, and then I deleted it. And I thought, you know, they're not in a rush to send me anything. Like, this won't expire.
Yeah.
And I need to really think, like, what is my feed going to say? Like, rockin' blah, blah, blah. Like, no. Like, immediately, like, that's not going to happen. Like, and then I thought, like, you just put it down. Like, my boy does. He gets shit all the time now. And he puts stuff, like, on a good surface. And he takes a picture and he says, thank you. You know.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
not him with it or anything.
I think that's the smooth one. I've been seeing my boys getting those as well. Like, oh, yo, shout out something. Yo, appreciate that.
Good not like a picture of his face and all the thing. And
it's not like, here, you should buy this.
It's just product on his gram. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, that's just the exposure to the individual, and that's what they're looking for. It's not me. I'm not a person of interest. It's just they know that I have a certain amount of traffic now flowing.
That means you are a person of interest.
Yeah, but it's not because of my face. No, it's because of whatever I'm doing. Yeah. But what that does is referring to celebrities. So I'm riding their coattails, basically.
I got you.
And I don't want to design my account that is curated around photographs of actual celebrities I take to then use as a place to benefit from. Like,
Got you.
Like, I've done some HR things, and I don't want to sound vague because it's not like that I haven't paid attention to them, but I don't want to spill out anything important that my company tells us specifically. But there are things that mention about, like, you know, what people offer you in exchange for things, for your services. And it's like, as a contracted photographer, your services, you know, are being applied with and so on and so forth by these entities and whatever. That's business. Yeah. And that's a business I'm learning about because, sure, I'll take free stuff, but is it worth my integrity down the line with who I'm working with that's giving me the access, that's working with me as a, you know, as I said, the team. I don't, you know, editors, photo sales, assignment teams, card runners, everybody's doing something while I'm doing something. And if I can't be in all 7 of those places at the same time. And that's the only way these things are going to be able to get done, ever. Big shows, MTV Awards, Grammys, Oscars, whatever. Like major shit. And then just festivals and so on and so forth. Fashion Week. Everything runs everybody ragged. And, yeah. So, like, not trying to mess around with that.
No, that's legit.
And you know, if something major comes up,
for
I mean,
an iPhone
Rolex wants me to start wearing a watch while I take pictures.
Yo, Rolex, you heard that?
I have no problem, you know, sporting a nice GMT or
speak it into existence, brother.
Or a Submariner. You know, I'm just trying to keep it subtle, like nothing crazy. Nothing crazy.
Humble.
I don't need, yeah. Like otherwise, the iWatch is.
But this is real, because this is what people are building their Instagrams for in a lot of cases. You know, this is the future. This is your personal
all that
brand.
People are building.
That's what I'm saying. This is you being your own personal brand.
It's not for family and friends. I mean, there are some people out there
that are doing that.
Of course. But even my family, or like, shout out nobody individual. But there are times I get like responses, and it's not like it's bugging me, but I'm like, this platform, you know, I've created this platform now not to be like, oh, thanks, like, you know, that's sweet to me. It's more to like, for people to see, but I appreciate it, but I've detached myself from it, so I don't respond to it. Then I feel like a bad relative.
Yeah, when you got like family and, you know, shout out the aunts and uncles and cousins that hit us up on social media. If I don't respond, it's nothing personal. I love you guys.
I don't know. I don't think about it too much because then that's the last thing that like I'm trying to worry about. At the end of the day, is like who and what is getting affected by my social media.
Well, I mean, you gotta know, and you gotta separate, you know, business and life on social media. But at the same time, in situations like this now, your life starts to become your business because you are a personal brand. Yeah. So people are gonna start hitting you up for sponsorships and giving you money and giving you things, and you know, and so now all of a sudden your life is what brings in the business. Yeah. It's crazy times but for photographers specifically.
What a time.
To be alive. Yeah. Yeah, so for photographers specifically, I guess you probably, I look at it as a spectator. You're a photographer.
There's no
How do you see
book
this?
For this anymore. Yeah. Like when I came into it, I was like, looks like a lot of these people are having fun, taking pictures, going to events, you know, good times. Yeah. And these are some influential individuals, you know, it's all across the board. Like I meet presidents and I meet models and I meet musicians and actors and authors. And
Nick's being too humble right now, so as his boy I have to kind of check him on that, and I just want to like point out there's a very important picture that you took very recently that I know you wouldn't bring up on your own because you are a gentleman, but one that's actually very important of Aretha Franklin, is there not? Can you explain the story of the Aretha shot? Just because I think it's important. I think it's beautiful. You feel me?
I know. It
and I think
carries a lot of weight. That's why.
It's heavy, and I'm sorry if it's too heavy, but it's a story I think people need to hear, and it's really beautiful.
Chelsea's getting a little too close here.
We're watching Chelsea-Liverpool right now, by the way. Yeah, so tell us about the Aretha shot.
Well, I was shooting an event uptown, 100-something street at the St. John the Divine. It was the Elton John event, and he's got a big AIDS foundation. He's been running for 20-some odd years. This might have been the 25th anniversary or 20th anniversary. I can't exactly remember, but either way, it's been a long time. You know, most of my lifetime. Mm-hmm. And like I was sort of saying, well, maybe I didn't say it, but you know, one event after another, you don't really think anything is going to be too special, you know. Or there are moments, but you know, you get uptown, it's raining, it's just, it's like 7 o'clock, the thing hasn't even started. Like, let's just get this over with. Mm-hmm. Either way, it was a nice event. There was some fun people there, Elton and like Bill Clinton, and Billy Joel and Clive Davis and Alec Baldwin. I don't even remember who else. A couple other folks of note, and oh God, and sorry, that distracted me. Yeah, and they had a musical guest, and they didn't tell us who it was for a while, and like they made a bunch of speeches, and they're very emotional speeches and everything. You know, this big church, it was really getting heavy, and Elton made a heavy speech about a friend of his who had recently passed too, and I like worked for her in association. Like she didn't know me directly, but she was an editor at Interview magazine. Her name was Ingrid Sishi, and they made some very sweet comments about her and so on and so forth. And then he announced Aretha Franklin was going to perform, and for me that was like top of my top anybody that I could still see. Like if I could have seen just to see them, but now I'm like front and center, as if like if I were to be in a pit at some stadium. Like I'm now in a church, like at the foot of the stage, and here she comes and
Incredible.
Starts just dropping classics, and it was the best experience ever, because it hit home for so many different reasons, and in my home city, and that church uptown, gone to a bunch in my life, and didn't think she was around for that, and it was just, I could mumble and keep talking about that, but I got to take some fun photos, and for a lot of the time, like, she was really giving me, like, straight on eye contact, which you don't really get, but because it was so intimate, maybe this performance, she just kind of thought, that's the photographer, that's who I'm going to look at, like, and I'll look up and look back at him and up and, look at the people, and I didn't really understand, though, why I was getting so much love, and then, like, I put my camera down and I started taking a video because she started playing Bridge Over Troubled Water, and it was, the piano, and it's front and center, and the whole fucking thing. You can't really see in the video because it, the light compensates, so it's dim, the background's dim, but, like, the whole church behind it was...
It's magic.
It was definitely magic. It was just, it was surreal, and then I'm taking a long video, and then finally I'm like, all right, I should start taking some photos, and I look to my side, and then, like, boom, Elton John, like, came from his table, and he's standing right next to me, so I, like, caught him in the video, and he does a little moment, closes his eyes and smiles, and I was like, all right, that's enough of, like, invasion of privacy,
Yeah.
I got that moment, and then I snapped the video or photo, and he turned, and I kind of, it definitely is an acknowledgement, but I don't know really if he was posing or if he was just sort of giving me the opportunity, and that was nice. And then
it's a beautiful shot as well. I've seen that.
Yeah, that was cool. Just a little available light shot, and with the Fuji, shout out Fuji, because that's my favorite camera, and then it occurred to me, like, that's why Aretha's been looking right next to me. It's because Elton John's been here the whole time.
You thought she was
and
looking
so
at you.
and I was just like, okay, well, that explains it, and that's nice. Like, what a what a good situation to sort of happen, for my benefit, and like for me to just for that to happen organically, and that's like for a photographer to not to have to like contrive and put something together, and it's just is that serendipitous. It was just again another moment on top of a moment, and then I was like, okay, maybe I'll give this guy some space, and I didn't even realize I was allowed to be here this long anyway. Fucking Chelsea. Alright, and as I'm like about to bounce, he's giving me a look, and I like look back at him, and then I'm like, okay, I'm assuming that's the, like, you can go over there look, because it's, Sir Elton.
Yeah, shout out
and,
Sir Elton.
Yeah, he's the man.
Legend.
No shade, just like, alright,
Absolutely.
This is your thing, I'm not going to give you...
100%.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to overstep.
I'm like...
I will bow out.
And then he lunges in, not like lunge, but he steps in, shorter guy, gets me by the shoulder.
He's very tall, by the way.
Yeah, and gets me by the shoulder, and he just brings me in, and I was like, like he's gonna tell me like maybe I should go over there. And then he comes, and then he says to me, he's just like, "Isn't this the most magical night of your life?" Something of the sort. I have it written down because I had to like remember that verbatim. But either way, I was just like, oh yeah, it was spectacular until Elton John asked me how great my night was going, and and then I don't know what to fucking say. But I said to him, I was like, words, could describe it. Like, you have no idea. And he gave me the look, like, I think I get what you mean there, and then I did sort of like trek back a bit. But at that point, I turned around and I also realized like people are now sort of flooding the stage, so fair game. Which, like, all of a sudden, like, boom, the whole room was at the stage. But I had a good, like, 20 minutes solo, or at least with him. And that all together just sort of summed up any moment in this job in which I couldn't have expected that to ever happen. And it's, it's like, okay, one person said something, I saw one person perform, like, that's life, I don't want to make it seem like this is the most magical experience ever. I'm not saving lives here. I'm not doing anything really important, but I got to experience and be a part of something that now I know has been capsulated in time. Not particularly my experience, but some of the images I got to take of her, and I'm honored. I mean, I got the screenshots. When I Googled Aretha Franklin, it's the first picture to show up is mine. I'm like, that's something
epic.
I want to like sort of have in a tear sheet somewhere. Like, just so you know, like the most current and looked at and used photo of Aretha Franklin is used by Nicholas Hunt. I'll take that. Like, I'll take that, and I don't have to do anything else with my life. I'll go farm. I'm good. Like,
being able to capture Aretha Franklin's last show. That's wild. And being able to capture being able to capture that moment.
Having a video of that moment too, for me, I mean.
But then also through your platform and through your company, that photo being, or those photos being the ones that everyone all around the world started to use when she passed away. That's just such an honor as a photographer, and it's such a
it's an honor.
As a human, really. But I guess
I mean that
super
too.
Goals
that
for
too.
A
like
photographer
impacts that she's made and the steps that she's taken for causes.
It's crazy.
In eras I was no more of not even a thought in my parents' minds ever. I know that. I know that for certain. At least on one side. Yeah. So like to grow up and then appreciate that. That's another thing. It's not like I'm, oh my God, it's Aretha, like the queen. Like, no, I fucks with Aretha my whole damn life.
Nah.
Like,
we definitely smoked some blunts and listened to some Aretha back in the day in high school.
And
vibes.
I will never think of my mom when I hear of Aretha. Not that, not that there's anything morbidly to feel about my mom, but just
of course.
Yeah, my mom, pantomiming, the whole song and doing her thing in the church, just like, all right, there's that teenager that grew up with this shit that and I'm a kid kind of like, Mom, this is really embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing these things?
And look what it did.
Yeah, well then realizing, how many damn rap songs I love have fucking Aretha tracks on it. I mean, Spirit, like some Spaceship. No, actually that's Marvin Gaye, but anyway, Daydreaming, yada yada yada. There's 1,000 of them, and then realizing like the core of that is this amazing woman.
But that's an epic shot.
Yeah.
It's a moment that actually literally, and I can say literally and actually mean it, literally go down in history.
Literally, Yeah, I know. I hope this. I don't know. I mean, the time sort of passed, but I never really got to see it well, somebody sent me a picture of one of the pictures in print.
Sick.
But it was used in like an article collage, multi-photographs. But that was also like, there's like her, in the 60s, shot by yada yada, and then so on and so on. And then there's one of mine. I'm like, okay, cool. That's what it's all about, I guess. Now I gotta make some prints.
You already know.
Yeah, that's really what I've been thinking about. Like, I gotta print.
You should print.
I will. I gotta like talk about it. I can't sell with the contract.
Well, that makes sense.
Well, it's like there were, if stuff like that were to come up, it's not that they'd be against me. It's just you have to. This
Go
is
to
an
the
agreement
channels,
that we both have, and just business, photography, fucking galleries,
you're a legend,
or whatever you're gonna do.
You're like realistically, it's paparazzi,
way
right?
so far from ever being like, no, I'm not. No. I have so much to do.
Yeah.
Like I have splices and moments that like I don't know. This all sounds so self-indulging now, but
well, I mean, to be fair, an interview is kind of self. You know what I mean? It's okay. I set you
but
up.
But I'm just laying
it's
stuff
my
out
fault.
that
I'm trying to
is coming to my mind, which was recently I've been thinking a lot about. Like yesterday, it's a very frustrating shoot. Very frustrating.
Why?
I had to shoot like a carpet, and it's in a tight space, and I get stacked, and for me,
you say carpet?
Like a red carpet.
Oh, gotcha.
Like it was the opening night for the New York Film Festival, and it's a tight space. I'm big, but there are big people also on the carpet. I'm not the only one taking up space.
Gotcha.
That's not the issue here, but I am the one getting kind of like. I don't want to say anything because I don't want to be rude to the people. Everyone's putting in effort, and it's a tough, especially for photographers. And nobody's like getting in my way because we're all in each other's way. But I had a tough situation to shoot around, basically. And it shouldn't be that way because my company is house with it. But I was covering editorially, and another staff photographer was the intended house photographer.
Gotcha.
But I will take that role Sunday and next Tuesday. And so he was sitting fine. But now I'm like dealing with this, and somebody's late, and we're gonna stick them right in you because you've got a good spot. But since this person was late, and they're actually part of the studio, they got to get the good spot too. And it's like, well, I'm now a tier down from it. It's just it gets into sort of like a pecking order, and then like a discussion, and then like a space thing, and it's so funny, just how it never works out. And I know this miles ahead. I knew this. I see my assignments. I'm like, oh, okay. So those days I'm gonna have to deal with this kind of shit.
Gotcha.
And that kind of anxiety. It's like, all right, light one up real quick. Like, don't want to even think about it till I walk into the door. Basically,
do the job.
But it's a catch-22 because you have to show up to these things early because you have fiends who don't have good reserved spots.
So they
they come and they'll do dicey things and they'll take up some more space and give them an inch and they'll take the mile and. So you got to get there and you kind of got to own it. And it's not like showing up and throwing down, but you got to stand your ground.
Yeah. Not like in Florida, though.
No. And either way, it's always a process. And I had one of them last night.
Paparazzi
and I just was like, man, how do we get to this topic? Because now I'm just flustered with the whole...
We're talking about,
Did you have a question?
We were talking about being stoned and forgetting what we were talking about. I think that's what we were talking about.
Were we?
No. We got stoned and forgot what we were talking about.
Absolutely. And more so now that I'm like strange.
No, we were just talking about you were talking about the red carpet and
I was talking about it being Mo Salah! No!
Oh. There's football in the background. Nixon honorary Englishman. The only person right now sitting in his room playing Premier League.
Yeah? Oh yeah, all day. I've given up going to the pub, I think.
That's probably for the best.
Well, I did it for a year sober, and it just was... I had fun, but at the end of it, I was like, I'm not where you guys are at anymore. Like, I'm there when the game's on, but when the game's over, I'm back to reality, and I see all the people that aren't, and I'm like, I remember being there and being like, who isn't,
sober at the pub
so
for
I
football.
Yeah, sober for football is fine. I thought it was going to be tough, but it actually, like, it goes by the same amount, like, it goes by too quickly. a lot of times I'll bring a spliff. I'll burn one down beforehand.
See, that's the thing.
Bring the vape, puff one in.
As soon as we can start having like
Get the
smoke
bathroom.
lounges, as soon as we got smoke lounges, we can
Yo,
go
the
there to
world
watch the
is
game.
already the smoke. Like, I mean, with the vape,
It's true. Everywhere.
I don't want people burning blunts and J's everywhere I go. Like, I don't want a room full.
Yeah.
Like, I'll take a vape.
don't mind
I'll
it.
take the vape spot. Like, people roll in like, and then they're high, and it's not like all right.
It's still clean. It's not like it's not like a pool hole back there.
I dig the whole smoking. You know, that cigar lounge, alcohol den.
Yeah.
I've been there and I've done that, and I don't need it. Like,
So you don't like the idea of a smoking
I want a
lounge?
sort of a cleaner, more open-aired environment, but I still want to get high. And,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll walk outside and smoke the J.
It's all about the outdoor section. I think that's the balance.
Oh yeah. Just sort of,
But yeah,
halftime
no.
comes like.
So when I was in Greece back in the day, like I remember I was sitting at a restaurant, and everybody else in the restaurant was smoking a bogey. And I don't even smoke cigarettes, but like it was like 8 other people in this tiny little cafe. Everybody smoking.
Did you light up?
Nah, yo, I was sitting there, I was like, just like trying to like cut up my lamb. You feel me? It's like dying. I was like, I was just like, yo, if this was weed, I would be okay with this. You feel me? But like, just mad Marlboro Reds being blown.
Yeah, they don't fuck around. But there's an elegance
So
there,
many
the way they smoke.
bogeys. It was horrible.
Oh yeah.
I felt like I smoked a pack by the time I left.
I mean,
that
I
meal.
grew up with 2 parents that smoke.
Yeah.
Shout out! Don't do that to your children. Shade to my parents.
Shade. Hashtag done.
I'll hide my shade
No,
because
it's all right.
otherwise my resentments get bad. Either way,
That's real. But yeah, the smoking in the house.
yeah, man. Smoking in the house, don't do it, and it's.
Not cigarettes. We're talking
I
about
was
cigarettes.
used to it, which is something I actually I did enjoy it. Like I was like like you know, I had grandparents. I walk in their house, but like I have this distinct smell that I will always remember, and probably isn't a good one to have.
Yeah.
But that was America, you know, like as much
Nah, I have.
honorary Englishman as I may.
No, I feel you. Look, I have memories of going to my grandparents' house on my mother's side and smelling the pipe tobacco that my grandfather used to smoke. And then going to my uncle's house, his son, and smelling the cigar smoke.
But I dig.
But I enjoyed it
I don't.
as a
I don't.
kid.
I don't
But now I
have
think
a
that shit is
smug
disgusting.
feeling towards people that smoke.
Yeah.
To each his
I mean,
own.
to be fair, I smoke spliffs. You know what I mean? I put tobacco in my weed. I smoke pure ones as well. I smoke blunts. That's
I try to stay
tobacco.
optimistic when I think about like people like Willie Nelson and whoever, iconic, old pot smokers that are in the game that are heavy pot smokers. Because like I think about Lil Wayne, I'm like, all right, he's 36, like he's doing all right. Like from what it seems, I thought he maybe died recently, but then they said he didn't. And like Snoop Dogg, like okay, like I'm also into figuring out some alternatives. I love me some smoke, the flower, the bud. I'm gonna stay true to that for sure. But I could do some candies.
Yeah.
Like
Edibles.
Yeah, like make my life a little bit easier too. Like getting around, like just got a lollipop, just gonna
Yeah, the
pop
vape,
that in.
vape pen and
Vape
edibles
pen I
change
love, but I
everything.
abuse that shit a bit too much. Like that's why it scares me. I'm happy to get those cartridges, but then I'm just like every second.
Oh, I can smoke this
everywhere
anywhere.
I'm going. I'm
I
like,
will smoke
I
it
have to pee.
everywhere.
Cool. Well, actually, I'm gonna use the stall because while I pee, I'm gonna take a little hit of this vape pen. like I'm just the reasonable doubt in my head. It's like there's this line. There's this line in a Lauryn Hill song where it's my sin is arguing with my something. And I'm doing a terrible job quoting things.
It's the weed.
It is the weed, but I wish I could like properly quote things because that would help. Either way, it's a perfect explanation of my subconscious. It's like I have this discussion with myself. I'm like, listen. You're gonna go here. You're gonna go there. You're gonna have this amount of time, and with that amount of time, you can get a little bit stoned, and then you go chill, and then wait, and then like I have a lot of time to kill. And that's where all of this like sub-factoring comes into. And, just full disclosure, but not like trying to reveal any secrets. In AA, a lot of what people talk about is like, the over amount of use, the over amount of time spent doing things that like we don't need to do to get drunk, particularly.
Gotcha.
Like, the hurdles the energy I spend just to pull off getting inebriated. Like,
oh, got you. Like the
what if I took
through.
I'm so exhausted all the time, and that in that case, it's like I kind of use that as an excuse to be like, all right, I'm gonna get drunk, because it's like, oh, I'm so stop using all your energy to do this, and think about what you could do with that energy. Think about how much energy you would have if you stopped doing that, and then it's like, whoa. And I still do that with marijuana, but it doesn't like defeat me like a hangover, like having a night full of whiskey drinking. It's like, no, if I go puff a little bit of this J and I find the proper street to walk down and I kill time, and
you can do that.
I feel like it's a little bit of a game, and I get stoned, and then it really in my head is like a game, because then the headphones are on and I'm like walking in New York and I'm like, nobody knows I'm high. I'm like, and they have no fucking idea. And even if they do, like, pretty much these days, anywhere you go, you're like, somebody's smoking weed.
All day.
Somebody's
I
smoking
love
weed.
it.
Like,
shout out everybody that smokes weed on the street.
Nobody's running, chasing you down. Like, put that out. Nobody's.
Nah, we all appreciate it. My mother, she can smell it now.
Oh yeah.
Like back in the old neighborhood, there's a couple houses that always smelled like bud, and we walking down the street, and I'll be walking with her, and then I'll be like, "You smell that?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's weed."
Well,
and I was like, "Hey," she's like, "Yeah, I know, because you always smell like it," and
Yeah, well, I don't know. That's the thing.
And then, but yeah, she hates it actually, the smell of it.
Yeah.
I think
My
she's
dad
just saying
doesn't
that
like
though.
it
Mom,
either.
I think you need to just admit that you like the idea of it. Soon enough, Ma. I got you. But yeah, things are changing.
Yeah.
Things are changing.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. And aside from just getting high, it's very exciting. Like, we started out talking about stems. It's just like, I've always wanted to have more, like, fun with weed and the possibilities of it, cooking wise, obviously, and taking it to get high, but the functionality of it, and that being hemp and the direction that is going in. I mean, I was reading an article. Well, I was reading actually the website for this company called Hemp Inc., which is supposedly the largest producer of hemp in the Western Hemisphere, so on and so forth, yada, yada, yada. And their products and services. And they're talking about, replacements of things and cleaner energy and less water usage for developing and growing and this and so on. And then they're talking about even the usage of it, like it's going to replace plastics, hopefully. If people let it do what it's supposed to do, it should be replacing plastics and other things such as that. But not only would it replace the plastic, but cut out the use of the petroleum, but it's also solving the issue of petroleum spills.
Yeah.
Like, it's the most soluble is the right word. It has the best ability to soak up.
And let the record show that neither of us are scientists.
No, and I'm definitely not.
But we are.
But
we do read up. We do study.
Yeah,
research.
I mean, I'm not going to be I can't be the person to quote
exactly.
everything.
We don't need to be the
After burning
spokesperson.
one down.
Exactly.
We can, scroll one more up. Since we're already there, it's like, why shouldn't we? See, hold on. I went through these three. Hold on. Where's she at? Hold on to that.
So hold on to that hemp topic. I'm gonna go get more bud. I guess I'm gonna make some.
I got a lot. I got all sorts and ravioli. Of course, it's prepackaged, but what are you gonna do?
hemp. We're talking about hemp.
Yeah. So
It's
not only is it going
crazy.
to replace the things that are creating the issues, but it's already fixing the issues of the things that it's going to replace. Sort of.
Yeah, no, it's...
No, I was actually it opened my eyes. Although the thing I don't understand, and this will probably sound really ignorant to like people that do this, you know, or invest for a living or whatnot, but it's traded at such a low amount that I don't understand if it's leading.
It's just because they don't know about the hemp yet. That's what it is. People,
to me, it just seems like
crazier.
such a no goddamn brainer. And then the hemp bill was passed through all of this, you know, travesties and the Kavanaughs and everything that's happening.
No.
I'm amazed that kind of went so under the radar because of like the position Jeff Sessions has on marijuana, and I don't know.
Yeah, no. The whole thing is people. The truth is that states that have had legal already are talking about flower, and they're talking about smoking, whether it's medicinal or recreational. But the hemp was the real threat to the industry, which is why it was still illegal. You feel me?
Yeah.
But obviously people are all talking about medical or recreational weed now, but they're already, you know, California, when did they legalize medical? Was that 96, 98, something like that, 99? They've been doing it for a long time. States have been doing this for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the hemp industry that was still held back. So we're only just seeing the very beginning of that.
The first bill was back in, I think, 2014, where they made it legal to grow hemp again.
It was for
industrially.
Was it industrial or was it for research?
I thought it was to grow it's the Farm Bill. Hemp Farming Bill Act, which I think was for industrial cultivation.
Yeah. And I know
because that's been since that, like that's where the CBD train has more or less taken off from.
And I saw that
period, in the last 2 years especially. I
saw they just took all forms of CBD off the controlled substance list. I think yesterday.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying too.
Which is so.
I mean, I'm not trying to go into places.
That's so stupid.
I'm not trying to go into places lit. Like never. Like not at all. Not especially like really. Like, for work. No.
Show at the Oscars, blazed out of your mind. Like which way is the red carpet?
God, no.
Like you're on.
I would have a heart attack just.
Yeah.
Because it's not even about taking pictures. It's the people and every.
You know that feeling when you blaze and you just like, I'm in the middle of the street, I need to just go hide in a corner. I don't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah, every day.
That's the opposite of that.
Yeah, exactly.
The opposite of solitude.
Exactly. I need that quantum of solace before I dive head deep into the shark tank.
Yeah, but no, it's good to have that balance.
But what I was saying
you go
was,
do your job and smoke a joint after.
Well, one CBD, you know, that can relieve anxiety. So. Yeah, I'd like to smoke some CBD instead of something that's, you know, strong. Like if I get my hands on a good service that has weaker pot, I will preferably buy less strong pot.
Gotcha.
Because I can get zooted like the rest of them, but I would like to be able to have something that sort of takes my edge off. Like I wake up and I want to hit the ground running, and I'm like, slow down, Tiger. Like don't feel like you haven't gotten anything done yet because the day hasn't even started. Yeah. Like yesterday was one of those days. And today's sort of been one of those days because I know it's going to be busy, but I don't want to get in my head of being too relaxed. It's all of that mental mind game that I'm playing with myself. And I'm happy to get stoned, but then when I get too blitzed, it's like, whoa, now I'm not taking care of the little things I need to handle, like around the house. Like now I'm just like cemented to the fucking floor, you know.
It's all about balance.
Poorly playing ukulele, like pretending like I'm doing anything with myself, like at the moment.
That's the situation to find yourself in.
That's all too often. Sadly.
But no, I feel that but that's what's ill is that now with legalization, you can actually go to a pharmacy and be like, hey, which bud can I smoke during the day while I'm at work? And I'm not talking about like just sativa or indica. I'm talking about like. I was actually talking to my last guest about this, my boy Tree Lords, who grows, and he's got a farm out west. But we were talking about how good the weed has gotten all around the world. Mm-hmm. Do you think people are starting to miss the Reggies? You feel me? Are people missing regs right now? Because
well, I don't know if people are, because like I said,
because like you said,
there's
maybe you want to smoke a little weaker.
There's a lot of new waves of. I don't think I think.
Waiting for the
people
regs to make a comeback.
Are very welcoming to pop culture. Sometimes people be like, "Guys, pothead" or whatever, but for the most part, they're just like, "It's just a pothead." Like, it's harmless.
It's chill. Yeah.
It's not like he's drunk. Like, watch out.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know what he's capable of. After a couple, it's like it's he.
If you hear, "Oh, he's a pothead," they'll be like, "Oh, he's probably."
You may think he's dead. He ain't dead, and that's all good. That's the wave I'd rather be a part of. Yeah,
the drunks are like the what? The Kavanaughs. You feel me?
Well, yeah, the Kavanaughs.
Fuck this guy.
God, that's funny.
I've just been watching
I didn't watch yesterday.
Oh
well, I went
God,
to play soccer, and I guess maybe that's what.
Well,
no, I wasn't in a bad mood. Yeah, I mean, he's clearly like, I want this. It's mine. Give it to me. I did all this for this.
Nah,
it's mine. Give it to me. It's mine. I don't like the people that don't want to give it to me. I like the people that want to give it to me. Like, that's just you're supposed to be bipartisan in the first place, and he came out so hot.
Oh, he
came out so hot, and I was just
OD defensive.
I'm amazed that even the Republicans are like, if this guy's mentality now is like, I am this entity. I know what I've done to deserve this, and I'm gonna get it, whether or not you give it to me. And that's the kind of person that, it doesn't matter whose team he's playing for. Now he plays for himself, and I don't know.
He's wild,
I mean, obviously, I'm gonna sound one-sided about something,
You're allowed to sound
but I did watch.
You're allowed to have an opinion.
For real, I watched the Kavanaugh trial or hearing on Fox
just to see what they were saying about
absolutely.
it.
And what's funny is I would go back to CNN a little bit, and I was like,
I watched on CNN.
CNN was doing more dramatic angles of things, like they were showing the family crying, and I went back to Fox and I was like, they're not showing the family crying. And I was like, this is like sort of like empathizing for Kavanaugh. Like, why is CNN like sort of going to bat for him? That's what it seemed like. Where Fox was missing the boat on like the tears.
Could be Fox was just missing the boat.
But Fox was like laying up stats of like when he started saying what schools he went to. It was weird because all of a sudden he was like, I went to Yale, and they're like, Yale, Georgetown, boom. And I was like, you guys had that lined up. Like,
they were
you got a script? Like, you got a run of show going on here?
They got his statement.
It was way too fast.
They got his statement ahead of time.
I guess they were prepared, but for me it was a little fishy because I'm like, I know how some of these things go.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And either way,
I mean,
but I watched it on Fox, and they weren't slighted at all. They really were like, okay, well, she was solid, and I mean, obviously, they're. I'm not going to bat for Fox, but
yeah, you already know.
I'm just saying, I'd like to make sure all my bases are covered, and that the world is hearing the same thing.
Yeah, no, you guys.
And I felt like it had been covered generally, openly, transparently, and but yeah, God, that fucking guy, man, just whining, yo. I walked out of the room. I started boiling tea, or I was doing something. I come back, and then I'm listening to him and something, and I turn and I'm like, you're still crying? Like it was 15 minutes after the first initial, and he was back to talking about the TAs that I recommended.
Such a prick, bro.
They're doing well. And I'm like,
I'm bad at
you were beyond needing a moment. Like, what is even so emotional about this right now? Like, are you just a passionate person that is applying this in a misdirecting way? Like, fuck him, whatever.
Yeah, and the whole thing with Judge refusing to.
Well, now they have the FBI.
Exactly. Like, come on, son. How, if there's something happened and there was another person in the room,
dude, he's gonna lie.
He's gonna lie, and then they're gonna try to catch him with perjury. That's what's gonna happen.
No, they won't catch him with perjury because there'll be nobody to refute what his truth is, because he's the only other
and he was a
witness.
a blackout drunk.
The thing is, I mean, at least this is how it seems to me. Honestly, it's just like he's just gonna say what Kavanaugh said, and now it's 2 against 1. Like, 1 against 1, that argument is like way too wide open. 2 against 1.
I mean, I think
We can all just talk about how Lindsey Graham and, you know, and what Orrin Hack and all these guys, all they did was glorify somebody, and they cut out the prosecutor. It was just like, it's like, who asked you? Like, okay, like, that's your personal opinion. Like, again, like, I'm not referring to you as an individual that I would take a personal opinion from.
Yeah.
And I hate that they have this, like, fuck having that hearing, because it just gave, 7 people or 10 people or whatever it is, a whole platform to just say how good he was again.
Yeah.
While the media chopping him up was, they're doing better than this hearing did at all.
Yeah.
This just legitimized an argument for both sides.
No, it's true. I remember hearing. I was doing work on the side, and I just heard the Republicans.
Sorry.
I heard like Ted Cruz. I heard like I'm just sitting here like, yo, you are such a piece of shit.
I mean,
bro.
he was the softest of the punk asses on that side.
Yeah.
But even his like attempts at like trying to lash out at Democrats was like, really though, really, like.
And the whole thing.
You think we give a shit about what you say, Ted Cruz? Like,
exactly. Come on, like,
I'm not even gonna get into it. Like, it's gonna sound stupid, but like, you lost, buddy. and you're a bitch. Like, you're such a bitch. What was upsetting me the most was how Grassley was quoting Joe Biden.
Oh my God! Yeah. I remember that.
Like a couple times, and it's like you're taking a quote.
Yeah.
Out of context.
Yeah. And
like you are
because you're using Joe Biden.
And you are I know, and you're using a liberal left. Yeah,
I'll slap the taste out of your mouth, Ted Cruz.
Oh, it's just I'm at the point where it's like I get the process. Cory Booker does it a little bit.
Yeah.
But only to the extent in which I guess like he's just keeping he can't go too far because
shout out Cory Booker for real.
Yeah. But
we appreciate that.
He can't go too far. As me, a civilian, would be like, everyone go fuck yourself.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not a politician.
Like, why are you saying, like, all you're doing is telling me something like, oh, you did open the investigation. Oh, you did do this. Oh, I didn't do that. Like, he's trying to win. No, I mean, without exactly having it, like, it right in front of me, I can't make that argument about the Republicans because basically the point of the Republicans is they'll just find a flaw in something that's so minuscule. And then they'll just focus on that.
No, they're talking about the fear of flying. They're talking about these things.
Well, that was just like funny. Okay, whatever. The prosecutor, the actual senators.
The whole thing is that they are trying to make it look like the Democrats knew about it and wanted to use it as political leverage. Which, by the way, is understandable. Why would they go to if this is how you are acting? Why would they go to you with this? Before, so you can squash it and make sure that your guy gets in. You know what I mean? Like, we knew, I say we, like, I'm one of the, but I'd vote that way. You feel me? Like, we knew that, we knew what was going to happen. And said, okay, cool. How can we do whatever we need to block Kavanaugh? Because just the way, he is a problem. And is, detrimental to our country the same way Trump getting in is detrimental to our country. You feel me?
Well, it's detrimental to Trump because
he's just a pawn for Trump. He's another Trump pawn.
I mean, it's a barter.
Yeah, exactly. I'll get you in. Oh, what was that thing you said about you can't you can't
you
open
won't
it.
Impeach.
You won't impeach. No, you can't charge a sitting president. That doesn't look like dictatorship, does it?
It's just stacking the deck so hard. Your second
obviously.
Supreme Court justice, like
who?
I mean, we're just getting laughed at. Just look at the UN.
You know what's crazy is when I first went to England when I was 18, it was Bush. You feel me? And when I first started going to Europe, like Bush was the president.
Well, they made a funny comparison.
And I remember I was out there and people were looking at me like, "You are such a prick." I'm like, yo, I was so young. I wasn't even able to vote. Obviously, wouldn't have voted for Bush, but like I'm not responsible for this. And I thought it was bad how they treated us when Bush was president, yo, like you said, we're getting laughed at, son.
Well, we're
getting
getting
laughed
I don't
at,
know.
and
I mean,
understandably.
I was just in England, and nobody really takes. They know. They're just like.
It was a fluke.
They can pretty much size you up. They're like, this guy's not American, Trump voting American. Like they can assess that quick, and especially you know if I'm in England, if anything, like you know that I didn't have to have that discussion once in 2 weeks. It's like good. I did well. I'm not even going to talk about that because there's some. I did have one discussion with somebody who was a Trump supporter and wasn't from America.
What?
Yeah.
What?
I can't actually go into anything because of just...
Got you. No said. But,
yeah. That was
wild.
That was an interesting night
were they
in
Russian,
itself.
Were they Russian or North Korean?
Neither.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
it's interesting.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, otherwise England and France and Switzerland and nobody was like, American Trump. No, they were just like, nobody even, you know, it's just another American. I'm dealing with it. I might have even felt like a whiff of pity. Like, you're going back? Ooh.
Yeah.
When? Ooh, that's soon.
Yeah.
Still there? Yeah. Like, you can get that back in still, right? You can. Blonde, blue-eyed. It's gonna work, right? I think.
Jeez.
I don't know until maybe he becomes I don't know.
Craziness.
But the other thing is, I don't know. Politics, whatever. You can go on forever. But it's not just him pulling strings. You know, like people like lost the focus of how Steve Bannon and who he was.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, all right, Steve. You know, Trump was his puppet. So why do we all of a sudden still think? Or now think that Trump is still at the helm of all of this. Like all of these things that are happening, people are going to bat for him. People are getting
which is
something from this. And that's the whole system. That's the barter with Kavanaugh. That's the barter with the entire, I would call it a business of politics. Is just like,
or just kissing the ring.
Scratch my back, scratch yours. Well, I got the ring. I won the game.
Yeah.
Now I have the ring. But I won't have it forever. So while I have it,
what can I do for you? And what can you do?
Here's what I can do for you if it benefits me. And right now, obviously, who gives a fuck about optics?
He's just so obvious.
And he knows that he has a demographic. He is harping on a demographic that has existed, that is like the shame of America, but it's actually a majority now. And we don't know how to really deal with it because we live in nice, good cities that, I mean, New York is a fucking shithole, but at the same time, it's beautiful and we are who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't essentially think I grew up with anybody that I could say is a Trump supporter right now at this time.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I think, you know what's crazy is...
I do know another photographer that is now his press corps photographer. It's wild.
Well, I was very surprised that when I started...
And she voted for him, and me and her had a little combo when I saw her. It was before she took the job as his... She travels with Trump everywhere. She is like the Peter Sousa of Trump. Yeah, and I'm just like, wow, like, you're comfortable with that. Like, I thought about it. Like, if I got offered that job,
could you be his photographer?
Would I want that opportunity? Like,
Speaking about celebrities.
obviously, my dream. I'm looking at these pictures of Barack Obama for 8 years as I start my career, and I'm like, man, presidential photographer. Like,
that's all.
And Barack, like the charisma and the events and the moments, and talk about Aretha. Barack for 8 years.
Yeah.
There aren't enough pages in a book to really explain that experience in those photos. But like, would I want that opportunity with Trump? Could I paint a picture?
God.
Could I? No, I wouldn't. But like,
God,
could you come in as sort of a rogue agent? Like, everyone's spilling the beans, but like at the end of the day, I release a book that is just like.
If you went in as like a spy and
CIA,
taking all the unflattering paparazzi shots where he's got like the shit in his pants while he's playing tennis and the hair blowing all over to the back of his shoulders.
A lot of these guys in the cabinet already, I've like been around, and I know like. I mean, Trump was around New York. I have a bunch of pictures of Donald Trump
really?
before he's president.
Before?
Yeah, a ton. No, and
you know it's crazy is because like we didn't think anything of it before he ran.
I've never
we
even
like,
put one of those on my Instagram. I'm like, what am I gonna do with
like,
that?
It's just like, oh yeah, he's that douchebag.
And
like everybody in New York.
There's so many good pictures coming out of him now, just like painting this like this image of this grim reaper of of America. Like,
he's a fucking clown.
It's getting bad. It's like, I don't know.
So would you take the job as Trump's photographer?
I think I would.
Probably good money.
Well, I'd want to really know what's going on in there.
That's a good way to get in.
I mean, I'm as informed as I can be.
Yo,
about
Trump, you need a
things.
photographer? Holla at my boy Nicholas Hound right here.
I'll just holler at my girl Andrea Hanks.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I won't because I don't know. That's not. I'm doing things I'm very happy doing. Yeah. And that's not a job I need to follow one person around like that. Yeah. But
especially someone not worth it.
But it's a revered position, and it's definitely. I'm not putting it down. That's all. No matter who you're shooting.
So I guess photographers who are like on call for certain celebrities, like that's their photographer.
Yeah, I mean, there's like
they do other things.
There are
as well.
A couple entertainment guys that are just in the books.
Gotcha.
Like the go-to, and they spill out and give that work to other people because that's like Patrick McMullen, who I worked for first. He can't be everywhere, so he'd be at the thing, and then there'd be other things, and you'd get prioritized by seniority of shooter and your abilities and so on and so forth. But like Patrick, that's how he built his business and how a bunch of people did. But some people just want to remain more independent. They don't want to create a whole agency. They want to just, it's easier to maintain as yourself.
It's like freelance.
Well, when you're then dealing, as any business really goes, you're going to end up going head to head with somebody that just decided to throw a couple $1 billion at it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But privately owned smaller businesses will, I think, always hit a bit of a glass ceiling.
Gotcha. And
that's America for you, in a nutshell, and pretty much the world in a nutshell. I mean, I don't know why I'm saying America. That's these are global brands.
Yeah.
You buy any designers,
which is even further, which is the point, is that they're now because they're global brands. Yeah,
which is they are backbones for each other. It's support systems, and I get that, but going from one to the other, seeing how that's done, and seeing what it is to create a brand of my own while being a part of something and not like in any way, shape, or form.
That's how you get the iPhone cases for free,
Yeah, I mean, and a good friend of mine, he's done a good job at creating a brand for himself within a brand that really wants to create, that only wants to maintain its own name. Mm-hmm. And he's hit them head on with saying, if what we're creating is going to thrive, I need to be able to push it myself. I need to be out and a face for this so that it can get the exposure, because that's how the market works right now. That's what people are looking for. That's the exposure. That's how we'll get more exposure than anything. That's how you get the free things, and then the thank you note in the repost.
Gotcha.
Boom, Rita Ora. Like see my friend reposting their posts. And not even like on the gram, like on his feed, but like on his story. Just like this is where I'm at. This is where I'm touching. This is how far the reach is right now, and this is where the brand is, and this is what I've done for them. And not just making it about himself, but like making it a collective brand or whatever brand.
No, for sure.
And I'm seeing that, and with little effort, trying to realize how can I do that for myself. Because if that's what people want, that's what people want. Yeah. The business has to thrive in whatever direction it's going to go in. But
I know you.
And I'm going to do,
I know you. You will adapt.
I will adapt, but I'm also going to maintain.
Just start posting full nudes. You'll do good.
A couple of those.
There you go. All right, well, I'm gonna let you go. I know you got busy day ahead of you.
I didn't pass that, right?
Everybody, next time you see some fantastic celebrity photographs, beautiful moments. Look down to a little corner, look for Nicholas Hunt, and
little corner.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, you got me since you started doing this. I started checking the names of all the photographers.
Oh yeah.
So shout out all the photographers that I was ignoring
that.
before. I apologize. I am now awake to the craft. Eyes on you guys. Everybody, stay high. And Nick, thank you very much, brother.
Thank you.
Bless, bro. Peace.